Hello everyone, it's ThunderBlazeYT back with another video, and today I'm going to be showing you basically some basics about MCreator, how to create a block, use the textures, etc. So basically, I'll give you a download link in the description for MCreator. MCreator is a place where you can create Minecraft mods for Java, Bedrock, basically whatever. It's like an easier modding platform or software than other things. You can basically create your own mods, upload them to CurseForge and other uploading websites. Other people can play your mods, you can play your mods, you can put your mods on servers. It's basically, yeah, just all that fun stuff. You can make basically whatever you want. And yeah, so when you first load up MCreator, it's going to take a little bit to load, depending on how fast your computer is or your device. But once you upload MCreator, you want to click the plus sign that says New Workspace. And then what you want to do now is put in your mod display name, basically the name of your mod. Let's just say, we're going to go with, I'm just going to say ThunderBlazeYT mod. Okay, so basically I've named it ThunderBlazeYT's mod, and as you can see, the mod ID, ThunderBlazeYT's mod, all in lowercase there. You can make the name whatever you want. Next, I would choose the latest version. Unfortunately, MCreator, you're not able to choose the exact latest version. Like right now, Minecraft, at least for Java Edition, is at 1.19.2, and as you can see, this is 1.18.2. And in order to get the latest or up-to-date version, you would have to use other modding platforms that require lots of scripting knowledge. MCreator does not require scripting knowledge, actually. It is useful to have scripting knowledge, but MCreator does not require scripting knowledge. I have no knowledge of scripting. I might try learning scripting. It would be a useful skill. But anyway, once you have your mod display name in, you're pretty much set to go, or good to go. Just click Create New Workspace, and it's going to start loading. And then eventually, once the workspace stops loading, it won't be full screen at first, but once it stops loading, it'll be at full screen. It's going to show you all of the stuff it's working on, like setting up Gradle project files, adding it to an MCreator folder, and there you go. And now you may be wanting to look at this stuff. Yes, let's start by looking at this stuff. So as you can see here, you can make a lot of different things. You can make advancements, armor, biomes, blocks, entities. I'm still working on making entities. Entities would be a more advanced tutorial for MCreator, but basically you could be making all of this stuff: villager trades, tools, items, anything. But first, in order for you to create stuff, you'd have to go to this tab right here that says Resources. And in Resources, you have to create a new texture right up here. Don't import texture or anything, at least not for now. But you would click Create New Texture. And then from there, you would create either an armor texture, an anime texture, or just a normal texture. For now, let's just create a normal texture, or you can see the key binding, Control plus Shift plus 9. It might be different in like Command plus Shift plus 9 for other computers, but I'm using a Windows right now. I'm going to click Create Texture, and the width and the height do matter. This would be like 16 by 16 pixels, and if I upgraded this to, like, let's say, if I typed in 100, it'd be 100 by 100 pixels, and you'd be able to put in more detail. But for now, I'm just going to put in 16. You can put in whatever number you want, and there you go. So let's start by making the texture for a block. Yes, you can add transparent parts. So let's start by looking at the basic tools. First, under General, we have the Undo and the Redo button. Let's say, oh, I made a mistake. I would click the Undo button, and it would undo all the last things you did. If you didn't want to undo something, just click the Redo button, and you can redo all your stuff. Let's say you didn't want to undo something, and you just made one tiny little mistake. Well, you could go here under Drawing to the rectangle and with an it looks like an eraser. All you have to do is click on the little cubes, or you can drag the mouse and it'll erase it. You can undo this as well, redo. And under drawing, the first thing you might notice is the pencil. The pencil is what helps you to draw your texture. So let's say I want to fill this whole thing black. Okay, I could do that with a pencil. I could draw anything with a pencil. But then I decide, well, I don't want to fill this whole thing black. I'm going to erase... I made a mistake there. I'm going to erase this half, but then I want to make the other half white. As you can see, if this little tip, if this part of your thing is textured, if any part on this entire grid is textured, that means it will be transparent. And basically, if you're making a block, you'd probably want to color everything unless there's a transparent part in your texture. So now, I have a black and white box. Okay, so that's cool and all, but what if I want to add stuff like cool shapes or lines? Let's say I wanted to add like white lines in my black box. I could take this line tool right here under drawing, and instead of having to draw here, maybe even making a mistake like this, you could do the line tool, and as you can see, you can drag around, and it will only draw it once you release the mouse button. Drag around with the mouse, and it works like that. Oops. And there you go. And now you have these stripes. And now, let's say stripes would be cool, but I want to add shapes. Okay, all you have to do is the third option, the square and the triangle. You would choose your color, whatever color you want. And it would basically make another box. I believe there's a way to change it. Yeah, see under here, that where it says shape, you can change the square to something else, like a ring. Basically like a circle. Or a circle, it'd be filled in, a ring but filled in. A frame, a square but not filled in. And then just back to square, you can make a giant cube. And then the flood fill tool, obviously choose the color you want, click anywhere and it'll fill the whole thing of that color. Like, yeah, you get the point. But then let's say, oh, I made this color and then I switched to another color, but I want to get this color again. All you would have to do is click the eyedrop tool, the color picker, the final option under drawing. Click this. Click the color you want. Basically, click the color you want. Then go back to the pencil. Make sure you go back to the pencil, otherwise it'll eyedrop another color. And then drag around and it'll color it again. Okay, so we've basically got the basics of texturing down. But now I want to introduce one of my favorite tools, the stamp tool. Let me just change this here. I like the stamp tool because if you click this box right here that says base texture, you can choose any texture the developers of MCreator have imported. For example, let's say I wanted to make a different texture for TNT. As you can see, when I click it, it looks like this. But let's say actually I don't want this color, I want to change it to something else. You could click a color here. It doesn't change the color, but that's because you have to click the colorize box. If you ever want to change the color of a base texture on the stamp, you do have to click colorize first. After you click colorize, it colors the block. I don't want a red though, I'm going to take a blue. So, oops, there we go. And now, as you can see when I scroll back here, there's the TNT box. The TNT box, I don't know why, it's transparent. There should be a way to change that, or you can just make it no longer transparent here by just adding this. And now I have a TNT block. Okay, so now that we've made our TNT, you've made whatever texture you want. You go up here and you click Save Texture. Now enter the name of your texture. Let's say I want to do this, blue TNT. As you can see, this does not work. then the reason this does not work is because I have added capital letters into the name. You cannot add capital letters or spaces or any other characters such as the question mark, exclamation mark, period, comma, etc. You have to make the name lowercase. You can, however, add an underscore, which is recommended when you want to space out the name of something. Blue TNT texture. You don't have to add texture at the end of the name. It's just recommended. And this is one of the most important options when making a texture. What kind of texture is this? Block, item, entity, effect, particle, screen, and other. The reason this is so important, because if you went to make a block, but then you selected item instead, the texture for the block would not show up on the thing. I'll talk more about why this is important later. But for now, if you're making a block, just select block. It is recommended to make a block first because it is one of the easiest things to do. Now you can save this texture. Alright, so now you have your blue TNT texture or whatever block texture you want. Now that you have your texture, go to the tab Mod Elements, the top tab, and then click the Add New Mod Element. Now you see there's a whole different bunch of items to choose from, and they all have their own little key bindings, A through Z. Oops, didn't mean to click that. For block, if you're using a keyboard, you could just press B, or you can click block. And it will ask you to enter the name of your block. Here you can use capital letters, however you cannot use spaces. So I would have to use blue underscore TNT. See, if I did a space, it would turn red, and I would not be able to make the block. So just have to go here, blue TNT, or whatever the name of your block is, and create a new block. Now, as you can see, this is the texture. This is the texture for the block. The reason this texture shows up is because when I made the texture, I saved it as a block and not an item, entity, effect, particle, screen, or other. If I had saved it as something else, the TNT texture would not appear in this screen. So now, what you have to do is click and add your texture into the slots. This is one of the most important things. Now the tint type, I guess the tint of your TNT, kind of, I guess, texture, I don't know. And you have to, before you can choose one of these, you would have to enable if it's tinted. The base. Alright, so let's say you made a normal TNT block, or whatever your block is, but you don't want it to just be a block. You want it to be something like stairs, slab, fence, walls, leaves, trapdoor, pane, door, etc. You have all of these different options. All you have to do is click the drop down button under default basic block or next to block base. If you're ever confused with any of these, you can click the question mark and it will tell you exactly what any of these options mean and how to use them. But for now, I'm just going to keep mine as a basic block. And then the block item texture would only be important if you wanted a different texture besides the normal block texture or the normal 3D cube you would see in the Minecraft game. The particle texture, if you made your own particles, it would appear here. The block model, we don't want to mess with this for now. That would be more of an advanced thing. If your block has any transparent parts, what you would have to do is click, I think there's something that says if your block is transparent. Yeah, okay. It says check this if your block has transparent parts. You would check this, and then I think you would check cutout if there's any like special transparent parts. But because my block has no transparent parts, I would not mess with this setting right now. The bounding boxes, I have no knowledge of bounding boxes, honestly. I'm going to have to look up some tutorials on bounding boxes, and that will be inputted in the advanced MCreator tutorial. But the next tab is my favorite tab because you can modify most of the things you would want in your block besides triggers, which are like procedures. The in-game name, this you can add spaces to. In the mod resources, you could have said something like blue TNT, blue underscore TNT. In the game, it would not appear as blue underscore TNT because the underscore acts as a space, and in the game, it will appear like this. But let's say you changed your mind, but you don't want to remake the block. You could just name it whatever you want here. This is how it will appear in game. TNT blue. But because it's confusing, I'm just going to add this right here. Next is the material. The material kind of like defines it kind of helps out with the hardness: rock, earth, grass, wood, lava. And I think if you put the material as lava, it will hurt if you touch it. And you have all of these different options because these are all different materials. My TNT is the material of TNT. And the next option is the creative inventory tab, where you can choose whatever tab you want it to be in. If you want it to be in building blocks, decorations, redstone, transportation, others, food, blah blah blah. Or you could click no creative tab. What did I do? Oh, no creative tab entry, and you would not be able to get it through the creative tabs, and you would have to get it with commands, or you could put in the procedure that it would not be able to be obtained with commands. You could have it be obtained another way, like drop from a mob or whatever. I'm going to put this into redstone though. Actually, no, this is just going to be normal building blocks. I'm not going to get into the procedures of how to make the TNT explode for now, because procedures are a little confusing for basic block tutorials. Next would be the hardness. Like, basically the hardness is saying kind of how fast the player can destroy it. If you made it above 1, it'd be harder to destroy, and if you made it below 1, it would be easier to destroy. If you made it something like 0, you could destroy it instantly. I'm going to make it 0.85. 0.85 tenths. Okay. And the resistance, basically that's saying how the block reacts to explosions. If you were to do the procedures for the TNT and say it explodes, it wouldn't really matter. But if you want it to be like immune to explosions, you can make the number really high, like this. I'm going to make it up to 50. You also don't have to hold the up arrow or use these arrows. You could just highlight it or backspace and type it in, press enter. The slipperiness, basically saying if the player can slip on it or not. The higher it is, the more slippery the block is. The lower it is, the less slippery the block is. The jump factor is basically saying if it's like a slime block and how high the player can jump on it. The speed factor is how fast the player can go on it. It's kind of like slipperiness, but you don't like slide off. It just shows how fast you can go on it. It tells how fast you can go on it. The luminance, it's basically saying how much light the block emits, or how much light the block gives off. The higher it is, the more light. I think, yeah, the max is 15, and 0 is no light at all. Light opacity, the opacity of the light. Gravity, can you walk through the block, blah blah blah, is it replaceable? And now here's the custom drop thing. If you, let's say the player mines the TNT, it would normally drop itself, right? Well, you would have to put that there. But it would normally drop itself, right? Well, let's say you didn't want it to drop itself. Let's say you wanted it to drop something like blue gunpowder or whatever you want your block to drop. The only way to do this would be to make an item, well, actually, no. You can make it drop anything, any block, any mob, egg, whatever, in the game. Anything in the game. Or you could make your own item or anything else, and it would be able to drop that as well. And this just is saying the quantity or how much the block will drop. The loot tables is for making loot tables. That's a more advanced thing. The creative pick item, what was this? Oh, okay. I don't know that right now. But if the block is unbreakable, and then right here, it's basically saying the tool able to destroy it. If you put not specified, you would be able to destroy it with anything. But if you put a tool, let's say the pickaxe, I want them to destroy it with the pickaxe only, or tool able to destroy it, this is basically just saying if I used a pickaxe to destroy it, it would do its job. Or, yeah, if you put a selected tool, it will automatically check the requires correct tool for drops. And then this is just saying if the block is unbreakable. I'm going to put not specified. Here's the sound properties. You can do custom sound set, and this is basically like saying the break sound. When the player breaks it, you can choose any sound in the entire game, and I mean any sound and every sound. But for now, I'm going to use the vanilla sound, and I'm going to choose an option from here. I think there was a TNT option. I think the TNT is just the ground, so I'm just going to do that. And now the advanced properties, that's all advanced stuff like particles, tick rate, the block color. I'm just gonna say red or blue because it's blue. Can plants sustain on it? Does it act like a ladder? Blah blah blah. The next would be the block entity. If the block is an entity or if it's just a normal block. The fluid storage, that's definitely way more advanced. And the triggers. So here, procedures. There are some procedures that wouldn't be very hard at all. There's some procedures even I can do, and that's kind of saying a lot. But basically, like let's say when block is destroyed by the player, you would add a procedure for that by clicking the plus sign and then clicking create procedure. And then in the procedure, you have all of these different options. Let's say whenever the player destroys the block, you want the block to kill the player. So what you would do, I believe, command. I need to look through the tabs. Is it player procedures? Okay, I am so lost. 1 second. There's a special block. When making procedures, what you would do is you would use the blocks, stack them up, and make code. Procedures is basically just coding. I need to find it. I literally just made something like this. Where is it? Entity. Oh, here we go. Under entity management, if you wanted, whenever the player, for example, destroys the block to run the command /kill, it would basically kill the player. Under here, you would type execute command / whatever command you want. I'm going to type /kill. And what this is going to do, I have tested this before, by the way, I do know it works. What this is going to do is whenever the block destroys the player, whenever the player destroys the block, the game will execute the command /kill and the name of event/target entity, which is basically saying whenever you destroy the block, it will execute the command /kill and it will kill the player. So once you have that, you would click save procedure, and then you would go to here, generation. This is basically saying whatever the dimensions or whatever that this block can generate in. You can make your own dimensions, yes. This block can replace, like, redstone could replace this or something, and whatever. The generation shape, if it's in a triangle, uniform, all this good stuff. Then what you would do is you would click save. And as you can see, you now have your procedure and your blue TNT. So let's go ahead and test this in the game. So it is going to take a minute for it to load up. So while you're waiting for the game to load, you would obviously create more textures. But that is the basic tutorial for how to create blocks and all that stuff. And I'm going to make more tutorials, for example, like how to create plants, how to create all that other stuff. And let's go ahead and test out our new block. You will notice that once you open, this is taking a little bit, once you open your Minecraft world, it is going to be a little bit laggy because it's loading the mod stuff. This is going to be ThunderBlazeYT mod world test. Okay, mod testing. I recommend creative mode, and then whatever you want. Hold on, I'm gonna make this. I like to turn off the daylight cycle and the weather cycle because I don't like having to keep typing time set day. But now, once you load into your world, okay, this is gonna take a minute. Okay, as you can see, once you load into your world, you can go to the search items and scroll all the way down. And scroll all the way down, and you will see your block, or whatever tab you put it in. You can scroll all the way down, and you will still see it. But as you can see, you are not going to be your normal skin. You are going to be a Steve, and when you type in the chat, it is going to say dev, basically developer. So, okay, that's not how you spell it. Time set day. So what you want to do now is take your block or whatever you're testing, and as you can see, let's say. And as you can see, it does have the texture. Because the bottom looks like this and not a normal TNT block is because I made every single texture, or every single little cube thing in the block texture adder. Oh, well, it works. The same texture. And now you can tell if this works. Obviously, it just did. Hold on. Keep inventory true. I need to turn off this music. I do not like the music. Okay, and as you can see, when I punch it, it works. Game rule, do respawn true. There we go. And now, I immediately respawn. If you were to build a tower out of this, uh-oh, made a mistake, gotta destroy it. Oops, I died. You can just play around with the procedures, test out different stuff. And yeah, that's basically how you make a block. You obviously don't have to put the same procedure. I hope you found this very useful, and I will make tutorials on other stuff, and when I find out about the living entities. I figured out how to make a living entity. I just can't import. I just have to figure out how to import block bench textures. I will do tutorials on block bench as well, and yeah, I hope you guys found this very useful, and I'm excited to see you guys next video.